possibly Belgium then for second, and then Portugal third, and maybe Italy fourth. But I think honestly it could go any way.
I'm sorry, Hannah, but really, we differ so much on our predictions on this group because really, I don't see Spain as tough as you. They have tremendous problems in defense. Laia Alexandri loses 90% of the balls she has on their back. In a group stage like this, one small mistake as that could be deathful for you. Hello and welcome to another edition of Clean Strike. In the middle of this heat wave that is taking all Europe into a tremendous rise of the temperatures, we have one event that starts in a few days. Women's Euro, the biggest football tournament in Europe this year. The Women's Euro is kicking off this Wednesday in Switzerland. And I'm today joined by Hannah Pinnock to discuss many issues about the tournament. Hannah, welcome to Clean Strike. Hope you can enjoy this chat about women's football. And let's start with this conversation. What do you expect of this Women's Euro?
It's so unpredictable. That's probably what I would say, because obviously England come into it as the holders, having won it in 2022 on home soil, which is really exciting. But obviously in the last few years, even if you look at the World Cup in 2023, women's football's come on leaps and bounds. So many countries are developing and getting better and investing more in women's football, which is sort of closing the gap between the historical, more successful nations. And that makes it extremely unpredictable, which I think is the most exciting thing about it, because, you know, we're probably going to be in for some quite big upsets if you think about it. So
completely, really, this is going to be a tournament where I see that there is no favorite, but also a tournament that has such many cute stories, starting with maybe the debutants in this tournament, Wales. They surprised all with the European qualifiers, the journey they did. What to expect of this young team in the Euros? What to expect of Wales?
Yeah, well, obviously there's a couple of debutants this year with Poland as well, but for me, obviously Wales is a bit closer to home, and I'm really excited to see them at this tournament, which is a bit weird to say considering I'm English and we should be rivals, but you could see how much it meant to them as a nation when they qualified by beating the Republic of Ireland, what it meant to the players, what it meant to the staff, what it meant to the former players and the fans as well, because, you know, this has never happened before. And it's not just them as a team. I think there's so many stories within the team that just make it even more interesting. Obviously, you look at someone like Jess Fishlock, who is, without a doubt, Wales' best ever women's player. Obviously, she made her debut for them in 2006, conveniently against Switzerland. So now they're going to be playing their debut tournament in Switzerland. But for someone like her, this has been almost 20 years in the making. And there's been so many near misses that there was probably points throughout her career where she maybe thought that this wasn't going to happen and they weren't going to achieve it. And here they are, and she'll get to do that. And someone like Sophie Ingle as well, who has had to fight her way back from an ACL injury to be fit for this tournament, which I guess it's touch and go how much she'll actually play. But I think having her in the squad and the fact that she's managed to be included in that squad is, I think, testament to her. And Hannah Kane, for me, I think is a really special player for Wales. And I've covered Leicester City women quite a lot over the last few years. And Hannah Kane's suffered 2 ACL injuries in the space of a short time, really. And when she suffered that second one a couple of years ago, she spoke quite openly about the fact that she wasn't sure whether or not she'd actually get to play again. So the fact that it was Hannah Kane who scored one of the goals that allowed Wales to qualify for this tournament, I think is really special. So how far Wales will go, I think is a little bit questionable, just because of how tough the group is. England, Netherlands, France, I think them getting out of that is probably too tall an order for them. But, you know, they're not going to be easy to beat, especially for England, with them being rivals as well. So but I think them being there, it's a huge moment for women's football in Wales, and hopefully it can have the impact that it did in England when the Lionesses won the Euros. Hopefully them being there it will be a big starting point for them to hopefully push on, and hopefully it won't be the last tournament that they're in.
Definitely, really, it's a tournament that has a lot of things to watch. I mean, we are going to miss such wonderful players because of injuries. In Spain, I can say, for example, the name of Teresa Abelleira, that she injured one day before playing against England on Wembley. But also, if we see the rest of the absentees in the Euro, we find, for example, Ramona Bachmann in Switzerland, that she suffered an ACL injury a few days after the training camp started.
All right.
Also, Lena Oberdorf didn't arrive properly. And she will not play the tournament. But we are still in Spain also with a couple of doubts how Aitana Bonmatí will play. So it's going to be a very exciting tournament with many things to watch on and off the pitch, and also with many stars on the pitch. We are waiting to see how the teams perform, how the teams show. Hannah, which player are the ones you are looking for most to enjoy to see in the tournament?
Well, for me, I was speaking there a little bit about the Welsh players that have fought their way back, but from an England perspective, Lauren James has obviously been a little bit touch and go whether or not she'd be fit for this tournament. She's not played a lot of minutes in the back end of the season for Chelsea, and without a doubt, we've been saying for a long time now over in England that Lauren James is one of the best young players in women's football. We got a glimpse of, I guess, the good and the bad of Lauren James at the World Cup a couple of years ago. And I think she's really due a tournament where she's the main player and she, I guess, spearheads, hopefully, England to success. So I think the fact that she's fit, and obviously she picked up a couple of minutes for England against Jamaica over the weekend in their send-off game, which was huge for England, I think. The fact that she's now back and fit, and I think if England is going to have any chance of retaining their trophy, Lauren James will be at the heart of that, I think. And if Lauren James has a good tournament, England will have a good tournament, I think. But for you, who are you going to miss at the Euros this year?
I'm going to miss many players. For example, not only Teresa Abelleira, that she injured one day before playing against England in Wembley, but also Lena Oberdorf didn't make into the list finally because she then recovered of her ACL injury before the Olympics. Also, Ramona Bachmann, we are not going to have her in Switzerland. And we have in Spain, we have even doubts if Aitana Bonmatí, how she will arrive to the tournament, because Spain plays in a couple of days. She recently had this viral meningitis. She recovered. She was discharged from hospital. She's now training separately from the group. But in which state Aitana Bonmatí will be on the pitch on the first game versus Portugal? That's the biggest question in Spain everyone makes. So it's going to be a tournament where, to be honest, I also share with you this opinion that it's completely equal. It's completely tough, and there is no one big favorites to become the winners.
Yeah, I agree. I think obviously Spain, you sort of always have to put up there, given how simply unstoppable they've been in recent years. But, you know, England managed to get a result against them in the Nations League on home soil recently. So yeah. I think you're definitely looking at the top nations, but I think all of the top nations are in relatively good form at the moment, I think. But it is just those sort of developing nations in the women's game who have started investing a lot more in recent years that I think are going to cause some upsets this year, which makes it more exciting. So that's good.
Okay, so now let's play again and let's try to predict our Euros. Let's start, Hannah, with your predictions on the group stage. What do you think? Group A, the group of the host, Switzerland, Norway, Finland, and Iceland.
Yeah.
Nordic group, but very interesting to see.
Interestingly, a few of them have played each other recently, obviously with the Nations League groups, and Iceland were a little bit of a dark horse in that. I think Switzerland struggled to beat them. I would probably put Norway top, even though I think at recent tournaments they have underperformed. Obviously struggled at the Euros last time. got out of the groups at the World Cup, but then were knocked out pretty much straight away in the knockout. So, but on paper, when you look at Norway's squad and the players that they have, they should be capable of getting out of that. And then for me, it would then be a toss-up between Iceland and Switzerland. Switzerland aren't really in good form. I think they've only had one win in 2025 as a whole, so quite a few draws in there. But I think the home factor will probably be what gets Switzerland over the line in that group. But Iceland are definitely going to be one to watch, I think. But I would go Switzerland second, Iceland third, Finland fourth for that one. I don't know if you agree, but...
Well, I think I have a different opinion, because I see Switzerland that it could be pushed by the homegrown feeling, playing at home. It can be the key factor for them to become the one of the dark horses of this tournament. So I will, and to be honest, I didn't see Norway very fit, because if you saw a few days ago against Sweden, they had a lot of problems in defense. They have a lot of problems in the game construction. So for sure, they will. I think they will advance to the quarterfinals in a group with Finland and Iceland. Especially Finland, I don't see them, even if they change the manager. They are now with Marco Saloranta as the coach. I don't see them now on another competitive level to play on the knockout rounds of a European or world tournament. So my prediction, it will be Switzerland wins the group, Norway goes second, and Finland and Iceland, they are out of the tournament.
Yeah, I guess, like I said, the home factor, as you said there as well, will definitely play a part in it. So, yeah, we can go Switzerland top of that group.
Okay, I mean, it's curious. So then, Group B. To be honest, everyone says that Spain is so favorite, but I don't see them like that. I don't see them so favorite in a group like this, especially after watching the last Nations League, where they shared group with Portugal and Belgium. Hannah, do you want to share your thoughts on this group?
Well, I have a little bit more faith in Spain. I think, obviously, even with sort of question marks over Bonmati and how fit she'll be, particularly for the group stage, I think it's the players Spain have, and I think on the bigger stage, I think they'll turn up. So for me, Spain would be easily, I think, top of that group. I'd probably expect them to win all of their group games, to be honest. But beyond that, I think it's so tough to call. And this is what we spoke about with the nations that are sort of making a lot of progress in recent years. Portugal, Italy and Belgium are all of those. I think it's a huge tournament for Portugal because they've not got out of a group stage at a major tournament before. So in terms of their development and sort of overcoming that hurdle, I think it's big for them. But I think for the second place in that group, having seen England struggle massively against Belgium in Nations League campaigns in recent years, they are a team that scare me a little bit. So I think Belgium have a lot of quality, and I think they've proven already that they're capable of taking on big teams and getting results against them and beating them. So possibly Belgium then for second, and then Portugal third, and maybe Italy fourth. But I think honestly it could go any way. It's just so difficult to call.
I'm sorry, Hannah, but really, we differ so much on our predictions on this group, because really, I don't see Spain as tough as you. They have tremendous problems in defense. I don't know if you saw the last games with Laia Alexandri in the center back. Laia Alexandri loses 90% of the balls she has on their back, and really, between this in a group stage like this, one small mistake as that could be deathful for you. Could be deathful for a team. So I don't see them dominating the group so much for sure. I see that they can win against Portugal and against Belgium. But for me, I have one favorite in this group, my dark horse in this tournament, Italy. I don't know if you've seen, maybe you've seen the games of Italy during the last Nations League, and they have done a tremendous job and a tremendous effort against top world-class rivals. For example, they faced Sweden and they get a 0-0 at Sweden. I don't know if it was in Gothenburg or in Stockholm, but it shows how this team, Italy, with Andrea Sorcin as his coach, can become the biggest surprise of the Euro, and they are ready to compete for everything, really. For sure, Italy needed a face wash after two continuous disappointments, first in the 2022 Euro and then in the Women's World Cup in Australia and New Zealand. They needed a glow up, and I think they are in the way to get it. So from my side, I think Spain is going to be second of the group. Italy is going to be first. Yes, it's very risky, but you know what they say: no risk, no glory.
Ooh, I just obviously struggle to look past Spain. When you just, I just think on the big stage, I think some of it could depend on Bonmati, and if she's fit for the group stage, I think that's a huge boost.
Yeah,
but then it's how fit she'll actually be. She might be able to play, but is she going to be in sort of top form given what she's been through recently? So the more you look at that group, the more difficult it is to choose, just because they're all, Portugal got thrashed by England in the Nations League, but then when we played Portugal in Portugal, they were decent and they managed to get a draw against England. So I just struggle to look past Spain, but I think maybe if you're confident on Italy, we can maybe go with them second in the group.
Yeah, maybe we can put them second in the group. Well, we can make this agreement that Spain and Italy go forward in the competition. And then let's move to Group C. Also, two Nordics in this group, Sweden and Denmark. Poland, also the first time they will play Euros too. And Germany.
Germany will top that group.
Totally. We agree. Germany is going to be first of group without no doubt. And then who takes the second spot? Sweden or Denmark?
I do think it will be Sweden. I think they just have a track record of going deep in tournaments. So I do think it'll be them. And I'm just not particularly convinced by Denmark. And I think although Poland could be interesting, obviously they do have Eva Payol, who's been huge for Barcelona. But when you talk about, you've got big hitters like Germany and Sweden in the group, I think Poland will definitely struggle. So maybe Poland third, but Denmark probably do have a bit more of a track record in these competitions. So, but yeah, I think Germany and Sweden is obvious. I think that'll be those three.
Yeah, I think that's a fair point to put Germany first, Sweden second, Poland third, and Denmark fourth. And now the group of death, el grupo de la muerte.
I hate looking at this group.
England, France, Netherlands, Wales. I think, I'm sorry, but we agree that Wales has very few chances to make it into the top two.
I would love to see them do well, but I just think when you've got nations like England, France, and the Netherlands to come up against, it's just going to be a huge task for them. So yeah, I feel bad for them that it's their first major tournament and then they've got drawn in one of the most difficult groups I think I've seen a major tournament in a long time. So,
and then from these three big powerhouses, Netherlands 2017 champions, France, England 2022 champions. Who gets the spots?
I feel like I should be confident in England. Obviously, we are the holders, but I just think since the World Cup, England's form has been so inconsistent and up and down. We've sort of had moments where I think, we're back, we're in good form, and then we pick up a bad result and it's sort of crashing back down to earth a little bit. But I think at the World Cup, England sort of eased their way into the competition a little bit in the group stage. They didn't look particularly great, and then as the tournament went on, they picked up form and obviously managed to get to the final before they were obviously beaten by Spain. But I don't think England could afford that this year. I think they have to be at 100% right from the off, because if they're not going to get out of the group. So I am a little bit worried with England, to be honest, particularly because this year we've been better at home than we have away. Whenever we've played away, that's when we've either drawn results or lost games. And obviously, it's in Switzerland, it's not on home soil like it was last time, so we don't have that advantage. I was confident in France, but then they really, really struggled in their warm-up game. So that was against Brazil, which is obviously a tough opponent, but they completed a pretty strong comeback in that game. I probably would go France top, and then I think it's probably between England and the Netherlands for that second place. And obviously, because I'm English, so I'm going to want to say England, but it could go either way.
Is it not coming home then? No, I mean, because it's a very, very risky prediction, and it's cool, but very few people think that England can go back home in the first round, even in a group like with France, Netherlands.
I think it's just difficult because it's possible that England could turn up and, play really well. But I just look back at previous tournaments and how we've sort of started the competition slow and sort of found our way through the group stage and then picked up form in the latter stages. But I just think with how tough the group is, if England don't turn up from day dot, that first game against France and win, it can get very tricky, because obviously Wales for England is a tough game because there's a rivalry there. A rivalry that the France and the Netherlands don't really have with Wales. So Wales will be absolutely determined to spoil England's party. And if there's one thing that they can do at this tournament, if they're not going to get out of the group, it's take points off England. So I will probably put England second, because I do have faith in Serena, and I do have faith in the players that they'll get through it. But I just would not be surprised if we got knocked out. And I think the fact that the FA is saying that even if England get knocked out, Serena will stay, I think it shows how tough they view this group, that even they understand that France, England, like the fact that one of those teams are not going to be in the knockouts is just crazy. So
yeah, completely. So with this situation, we have these quarterfinal ties: Switzerland against Italy, Germany against England, Spain, Norway, and France, Sweden. Let's just start with the first one, Switzerland, Italy.
Well, given that you're very, very confident in Italy, I think maybe do Italy have a chance, because Switzerland, I think, even though they do have the home factor, they're not in good form. So I think it's going to take a huge turnaround for them to sort of have a good tournament. And there's probably only going to be so far that home factor can get you if you're not playing particularly well. So, maybe Italy for that one.
And then the rematch of the 2022 final, Germany-England.
Germany. I think if England...
I agree, but it's so cool that you say Germany.
Well,
period.
When we played them, it was only a friendly towards the end of last year. Like, it was an absolutely mental end-to-end game at Wembley. And I think that was Germany's first game under a new manager or something, and they kind of wiped the floor with us a little bit. I think for England to go deep in this competition, they probably do need to win the group, because obviously that means they probably get a slightly more favourable draw in the knockouts. But there's a strong chance if England comes second in their group that they're going to face Germany in the quarterfinals. So obviously at that point, it's Germany alongside Spain, one of the standout favourites for me. So I struggle seeing them beating Germany. personally. As much as it pains me to say it, but and they'll want revenge as well from the final last time. They will be determined to beat England, and I'd back them to do it.
Okay, so we have still 2 quarterfinal pairs going: Spain-Norway and France-Sweden. Spain-Norway, it's another rematch of the last. No, not rematch. Sorry. No. Not rematch because they didn't play in the Women's World Cup. So, but this is still a tremendous game. Spain-Norway. Who do you pick? I think I will say Spain, but very, 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 very tight, to be honest, really, because they are lacking a lot of problems in defense, Spain, and I don't see them as sharp as other editions.
Yeah, I mean, I think that is a favourable draw for Spain. I think as long as they, to be fair, even if they've been playing Switzerland, if they finish second in their group, that's still a favourable draw, I would say. So I think it's a win-win for Spain, personally. I think their route to the final isn't too challenging, obviously, until they get to the semi-finals. So I would back Spain easily to beat Norway.
Yeah. And the last one, France-Sweden.
France are probably in better form for me. Obviously, like I said earlier, Sweden do have a track record of going very deep in these competitions. Obviously, they got to the semi-finals of the Euros last time before they were beat by England. So I would probably go France for me personally. And then what a semi-final tie that would be between Spain and France.
Okay, so that's a cool semi-final pairings we have. Italy, Germany, Spain, France. Who gets into the final?
Germany.
Germany.
And then if Spain do struggle at the tournament, I guess France will probably be the game that is the real test for them, that if they're not quite at it, that could sort of be their downfall maybe. But like we said all along, it's just so difficult to call because as good as teams like Germany and Spain have been, I think since the World Cup, there's not really been a standout team. I think Spain have tailed off a little bit up since the Olympics. I think in the build up to that, they were the standout team in the world. But I think after the Olympics, Spain have sort of struggled quite a bit. So I would still probably go Spain there.
Okay, Germany, Spain in the final. Spain struggling, and then Germany, Spain the final favorite, or
for that one, I'd still probably go Germany.
Yeah, I will.
I think it's so tough to call, but I've been pretty confident in Germany the whole way through. So hopefully they don't let me down. But yeah, I've been pretty confident the whole way through that Germany will do really well. So Germany to win it.
Okay, that's cool. So according to this prediction, we got Germany as the winner of the tournament. And do you have any dark horse that could be the team that could be the dark horse in the tournament? I would say Italy.
I think Italy's a very, very strong shout with that. I think the dark horse in the tournament will be sort of whichever of Italy, Portugal and Belgium sort of break through, if that makes sense. Whoever sort of comes through in that group behind Spain, whether it's Belgium, Italy or Portugal, I think whoever comes through that group will sort of be the dark horse, I think.
Yeah. Okay, so what is going to be a tremendous tournament. I don't want to miss a thing. So it's time to focus on women's football and check a tournament that is going to change the shape of women's football in Europe. So just one before closing the episode, one last round of predictions. Best player of the tournament.
Well, I think if Germany are going to win it, it's probably going to have to be one of the Germany players. I think I've always been really impressed with Julia Gwynn, so possibly her. I know when England, watching her play against England towards the end of last year, it was probably her that caused England a lot of problems. So I would probably go her, but it could probably be anyone from the Spain squad as well. I mean, we know fitness dependent, Bonmatí always turns up to these tournaments, so it would be difficult to bet against her, but I'd probably go Julia Gwynn of Germany.
Yeah, I will go for a German player. I'll go for, I don't know, I have my adaptives, if it's Lea Schuler.
Yeah.
So, or Julia Wynn, because it will depend one of those. This will be, for me, one of these two key players of the tournament for Germany. Top scorer.
I possibly do think a Spanish player, maybe Mariona Caldente. I think she's had a fantastic season for Arsenal, obviously helping them win the Champions League as well. So I'm sure she'll be going into this tournament with a spring in her step. So possibly someone like Mariona, maybe.
Mariona Caldente, wow, that's cool. I can say also her or even Esther González. That could be if Spain gets to the final, because she has been on a tremendous run, or a tremendous moment of shape in the last weeks. So I can go for her, or it can be. And the standout player of the tournament, the best young people, the best young player.
Young player. Really, I want to say Lauren James, but obviously that will be heavily dependent on how far England go. Obviously, we've gone through our predictions, but I think if there's a chance that England go deep in the competition, it will be because of Lauren James. Possibly someone like Lauren. But yes, tough to call.
Yeah. Tough to call, because really it's a very tough tournament. It's also difficult to do some predictions. I'm checking the age of the players in Spain and in England and Germany. They are all very young. But I would say Vicky Lopez. It can be her tournament. It can be her tournament of being the young revelation of the tournament. So, for me, that is the one who can be the youngest, the best young player in the tournament. So, that was another edition of Clean Strike. Thank you, Hannah, for joining us on this special Women's Euro predictions.
Thank you for having me.
We can come back after a month and see how our predictions go, and if we were completely right or completely wrong.
Well, hopefully England completely surprised me, and we're sat here in a month's time saying that England are European champions here. But I'm not as confident.
And hopefully Spain starts to play a tremendous quality of game and also shuts my mouth too. But anyway, thank you so much for joining us in a new episode of Clean Strike. Remember to like, share, post, comment on your views about the Women's Euro and how do you see the tournament. And let's see you in the next edition of this Clean Strike. Bye-bye.